We're on.
Awesome. All right, cool. So, Tim Sawyer's back. Good to see you, my man, as always.
Tim's got a story and a half.
Yeah. Oh, Mark. Mark making a comeback. Look at you, buddy. What's up? Mark's in Canada. Let me open this here. I don't know why I did it there. Oh, because of that. There you go. Cool. I like that when the smaller window now with Zoom, you can kind of get the chat box on the side instead of over the entire screen.
Very nice.
All right. So, yeah, we're going to kick this off here in just a minute. And in the meantime, just saying hi to some people here. Holy moly. Des DePa. Des, it's been, man. How long do you know Des?
I'm talking to Des tomorrow.
Are you?
Yeah, he reached out to me today. What's up, brother?
We've known Des for what? It's got to be 8-10 years.
It's been a long time. So, yeah, I think even more. I think ILP was like 2009.
No, ILP was 2007.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So we've known Des for quite a while. And we knew Des before that. That's awesome.
Wow. That's legit.
Yeah, 8 to 10 years.
Time is going by fast.
You guys are geniuses. I have to come back.
Fair enough.
We knew Des back when we, like in the early days of our landmark development, maybe like a few years in, but yeah. And Des, I don't know if we did Wisdom together or you were in Wisdom when we were assisting. We did, right? Okay. Yeah. Des, one of the fittest men on the planet.
Yeah.
Not anymore. All right, well,
man.
Let's get you back there. Awesome. Well, amazing to have you here. Neen making an appearance from Australia.
That's not good. Just no.
Australia?
No.
No, just stop.
Just nothing. Just no. You're so good in so many other ways. Just let the
just stick to what I'm good at, right?
Yeah.
Just shocking accent, mate.
Yeah. No. Nothing about that.
Nothing working. Okay, Neen, I promise I'm not going to do it anymore.
Bringing down an entire country.
All right, Marco Gonzalez, thanks for being here. You sound like a messed up Englishman. All right, enough of this chit-chat mumbo jumbo. Let's get into this because I could derail this very quickly.
Yeah, it's already.
Okay,
derailed.
So I don't know how many of you were able to catch the recording from last session, but our idea is we're not sure exactly how many sessions, but somewhere between like 8 to 10 is kind of the discussion we have. And what we'd like to do is kind of start this on a regular basis where we go through this cycle, if you will, of sharing these foundations and distinctions. So I know some of you guys know us really, really well. Some of you, this might be your first encounter with us. If it's your first encounter with us, by the way, or it's like the first time you've been on a webinar with us, just please mention that in the chat box. We'd definitely like to know who's new here. But the idea is that we know, because we hear from a ton of you. I mean, I got 3 emails on this topic today. Neen just did it the other day, where you've wanted to share the kind of work that we've done with you personally or something that's touched you from SatoriPrime world, and you want to share that with the people in your lives. And we haven't really been good about giving you guys that opportunity. So these are kind of designed for you to bring your friends, your family, introduce people that you've spoken about SatoriPrime to, just so they can kind of check out for themselves what it is that we do here. Because I know that sometimes it's very difficult to explain the spiritual practice, the personal development practice. So this is our way, at least for now, of attempting to make that accessible and available to you guys and to those that you love. So last week, we actually did a high-level overview of the ego and its effects on you and how it basically steals your life. A line that one of our students really gravitated to was you've basically for a majority of your life in certain areas, maybe in other areas not, but in certain areas, you're basically a passenger on the ego's bus. Ego's driving this bus around. You're just sitting back there kind of taking in the views and commenting whether you like it or not. And the whole idea of what we want to provide for you, and this is because we've spent, a decade and a half experientially learning this and paying people a whole lot of money and going through books and seminars and mentors and all that stuff to figure this out on our own. And we want to share with you what's worked and leave the what hasn't worked and give you, I don't want to say shortcuts because I don't think there's shortcuts to this, but help you at least focus on the things that are going to make the biggest difference the fastest. One of the things that I said in the last one is for us, velocity is paramount. We like our transformation lickety split, and we don't have time to lollygag. I like lickety split a lot.
I'm laughing for two reasons. Number one, they use words like lickety split, and number two, because I'm not always in complete agreement with that statement. I do like moving through things quickly, and I know that there's things in life that just take time. For sure.
I'm just saying, you and me, our main focus has always been to work on things that produce results with velocity.
Without a doubt.
Look, you can get this stuff by sitting on top of a mountain for the next 25, 30 years. You could, right? Like, all the answers that you need are within. This is not something new. This is for most people, I'd imagine the experience is when you have an aha moment or when you have a breakthrough, you're not shocked. It's not something like, oh my God, I've never heard that before in my life. In fact, it's usually something like, what? That, like, it was that thing, because it's almost like we remember the stuff more than acquire new stuff. So all this stuff is inside of you. It's just, how quickly are you're going to unlock it. So with that being said, if you haven't watched the replay of the last one, I highly recommend you do that, because the intention is that these will build on each other. But today, what we wanted to talk to you about are two of the main pillars that are going to drive this entire vehicle for you, okay? Without these two distinctions, everything that we talk about for the next sessions will have been for naught. Because if you can at least get these two things down, it doesn't matter how many books you read, how many seminars you go to, how many movies you watch, nothing will stick. So before we go into that, we have an announcement to make. So there's a bunch of you on here right now. Guy and I like when you interact with us, when you ask questions. We even like to bring you guys out and have full-on conversations and give you different perspectives and coach you so that you can get a sense of what that's like. We want to do something today where if you're kind of someone that's been sitting on the fence or you don't usually interact or anything like that, we want to challenge everyone here, okay? And at the end of this, and we intend to finish this at 9, at the end of this, or like in the next 50 minutes, let's say, at the end of this, the person that we deem has been the most vulnerable, has been the most present, has been the most engaged in this conversation, we're going to give you a really amazing present. And we're going to give you access. Are we telling them what it is?
You can.
Are we surprising?
That way they know what they're shooting for. Otherwise, it could be like we're sending you like a lollipop in the mail, and then who cares?
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So you want them to know like what the value and all that stuff is.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay.
You got to know what you're playing for.
Okay. So what you're playing for, okay, is free access to our Mindfluence course. This is a course that we sell right now for $147. We are going to give one of you who's like the star student today, or star participant, I should say, the free access to this course. This is a course that is 10 modules plus 2 bonus modules that has absolutely changed people's lives. I'm sure there's some of you on here that have actually gone through it, so you can chime in as well. But
those of you who have gone through it, you are getting a lollipop in the mail.
Yeah, we'll give you something else. If you already have it, we'll figure out. We'll give you something else.
Or we'll play like a round of Final Jeopardy. We'll put the music on and we'll see what answers they have.
All right. So with that being said, and that challenge put out there, let's jump right in. So, bro, you want to start with the conversation around integrity?
I want to just also invite people to listen with a little bit of a beginner's mind. So I think what's appropriate about what Ilan said is Ilan and I are not geniuses. We're not the smartest men on the planet. We haven't made this up. Everything we're sharing is from years of...
I highly disagree with you.
Ilan's a genius. I've always been a little bit more humble. I'm a humble genius, let's say that. But, our stuff comes from being people who have committed themselves to not just knowledge, but experiences. And a lot of what we're talking about is not coming because we've read it in the book. It's because we've experienced it. We've coached thousands of people on these things. We've watched it work for people. And we've become very good at recognizing patterns of human machinery, let's call it, and how to make that work in your favor, to empower yourself to have that work in your favor, where most people are trying to defeat part of themselves, overcome part of themselves, somehow control and manipulate parts of themselves. We're looking for, not for you to fight against your nature, but understand it, understand the phenomenons that you're working with, and then how to leverage them. So one thing I want to make you aware of as far as phenomenon is like the phenomenon of listening and how that occurs for people. And listening is one of these active things that people do very passively. They just kind of like, all right, I hear what I hear, but it's a very active participation. And through your ears, you have to understand that there's a filter through which you listen life through. And this filter is a lot based on your past and your experiences, which means inside your listening is your opinions, do I agree? Do I disagree? Is this right? Is this wrong? And there's this constant chatter underneath everything that's happening. Now, the issue with that is if Ilan and I say something and you're in this mode of I agree, I disagree, this is right, this is wrong, what you're really listening to is your own chatter about what we're saying. So you're not listening to what we're saying, you're listening to what you're saying about what we're saying. And that's not what we're saying. And what we want you to do is to come with a beginner's mind. So we're asking you to just like, for the next 45 minutes or so, just listen with a beginner's mind. Your opinions will be there whenever the hell you want them. You can pick them up, you can get them back. It's fine. But we want you to engage and get as much value as you possibly can from this conversation. In fact, at the end, I'm going to ask you to share at least one or two insights, takeaways that you can take into your life immediately and start putting the things that we talk about here, these distinctions, to work in your life. So like Ilan said, we're gonna lead off. I actually want to lead off with responsibility, if that's okay with you. And
No, it's not. It's totally not okay with me.
All right, so I'm going to do it anyway. Ever since we found out that you're a non-humble genius, it doesn't even matter what you say anymore. So for years, and again, I want to just offer that the way I want you to listen is just try it on, right? Just see if it works for you. We're not claiming to be truth sayers. What we're claiming to do is that we've developed abilities to move from paradigm to paradigm, to alter our state of being nearly at will, that leads to significantly different results than the one that people are accustomed to getting over and over again. And that comes from our ability to try things on. Now, that doesn't mean that everything we talk to you about is going to 100% work for you. And if it doesn't, that's fine. Leave that alone. Go get back whatever you feel works better for you. But in this case, we want you to take a look at this thing. So if everyone's good with that, if you're game to listen in that new kind of way, you can either raise your hand there in the top left corner or just say yes in the chat box, whatever is good for you.
Tim Sawyer actually said something really interesting. He's like, you guys excel at teaching knowledge that you've put into action. Oh, that's scrolled up, which a lot of self-development doesn't go into. And I totally agree with him.
Yeah. And if I could be a little less humble about my skills, and I don't think being humble means not being able to talk about what you're good at, is I've developed an ability to take really high spiritual developmental concepts and make them into very simple constructs so that they're very consumable for everybody. And that's just what I'm good at. So I'm going to continue to do that because I think access to this information significantly alters the quality of people's lives, relationships, connections, communication, and I believe in a world that deserves that. So I often get asked by people, like I've been doing this developmental work pretty much nonstop since I was 19 years old. I'm about to hit my 33rd birthday. And a lot of people ask me why. And what do you get from it? And I say something to this effect. I say, well, if you scrape it all down, you take away all the fancy distinctions, the experiences, what have you, and you ask me, what is it that I get from doing developmental work, spiritual work, meditation, etc.? And my answer to that is it's a expanded capacity to be responsible for more and more. Okay? So I want to speak to that.
Broski suggestion, why not stop sharing your screen? Because there's really nothing on there, so at least they can see our faces.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, there you go. I think that'll be better.
Good call. So I'll just reiterate that. It's an expanded ability to be responsible for more and more. So I want to give you an example of great people in history that a lot of people look up to. Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, Mother Teresa. If we were to scrape down and boil and put into a single sentence, what did these people do? What they did was they took responsibility. Martin Luther King, I'll be responsible for my people. Gandhi, I'll be responsible for my countrymen, right? Mother Teresa, I'll be responsible for the poor, the weak, this kind of thing. And all they did was step up, say that, and then engage in conversations with others, right, about taking responsibility. And this has changed the world. These are people we will look at centuries from now, should we make it that far. We will look back at these people centuries from now and still have conversations about the saints that they were, the great people that they were, the amazing things they performed, and we'll talk about it like it was magic. And at the end of the day, all they did was take responsibility. Now, responsibility, if you break down that word, it means your ability to respond, right? Or at least that's what I say, like your ability to respond. When you're not taking responsibility, you lack that ability and you're waiting for something to occur. So I want to define responsibility in the way that it is and in a new way to look at it. Because I think where Ilan and I have excelled is we've understood the power of language, its impact on you, and your ability to use it as a creation tool, okay? So in the way that society teaches responsibility, and I like to talk a lot about that because these are not things that you were born with innately. These are things that you picked up along the way, whether it was society's conversation, your parents' conversation, or things you just learned from your environment, whether it was conscious or not. Our society has collapsed responsibility with blame. I often use the example of like the political arena. Our country, U.S. is the epic example of that currently. Of every time something going wrong, we look for who's responsible. But what we're really saying is who's to blame. And what we're really doing is saying, who do we point the finger at, right? Who do we find this blame? Now, I want you guys to look throughout your history as a human and throughout, I'm sure in your country, the political arena can't be that different than ours because it's all stemmed from the same oozy bullshit that's been around for a really long period of time. And there's just kind of one conversation on the planet right now. So the conversation now is about blame. And in this circumstances where we find somebody to blame, or in your own life when something goes wrong and you blame somebody else or blame yourself, I want you to think of, if there's a situation that you can think of when that occurred, that some kind of resolution actually happened by placing that blame somewhere. Or in the political arena, can you think of a time where we found who to blame? And even if we do find who to hold responsible, does that create resolution of any kind or move momentum forward in that area or arena of our lives? I would assert you probably can't find an example for that. Why? Because it doesn't really exist. So if that's the case on the macro scale, in the political, economical, geopolitical arena, I imagine that's probably true in your life too, or at least valid, and you could add the truth to it yourself, that when you blame yourself, it's not like, all right, that problem's solved now. Like, sweet, I didn't lose those 20 pounds. Problem averted. Like, I didn't make that money. Great, I'm to blame. Problem averted, right? There's no power inside that conversation. In fact, it diminishes power, because what does the experience of blame do to you? Well, it creates the experience of guilt, of shame, of loss of value, like your worth goes away. And when you're having those experiences, without getting into the whole explanation as to why, but again, look in your own life and map to your own life experience when you felt guilt and you start punishing yourself internally, emotionally, maybe physical abuse, whatever it is that you do when you hit that. And you do that as if you just punish yourself enough, like you're going to learn the lesson. Again, I want you to think if you can validate that with honesty as to whether or not that's ever helped you actually grow in any meaningful way. or helped you find resolution, or helped you advance, or helped you transform, or helped you get to where you want to get to. Again, I would assert that probably has not happened. And I'm making these assertions, and people are sounding off in the box like never. I'm making these assertions, again, based on talking to thousands of people and seeing that this has never created a solution for fucking anybody, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, we want to constantly create, we want to take this distinction collapse, because blame and responsibility are not the same thing. And we want to separate the two. So if we were to separate blame and put it into its own category, and we were going to take responsibility and put it into its own category, we need to start redefining what responsibility actually means and remove it from the experience of blame, okay? So my personal definition from responsibility, you can use it if you like, or you can create your own. It doesn't matter. This is what empowers me. For me, it's the ability to sit at the source of what's happening. So I'm responsible because I'm at the source of what's being created. And as a caveat to that, whether I can see it or not, how I created it, okay? So some things happen underneath the surface of our consciousness. Some things we're very conscious of we're creating. But guys, we are patterned machines. This patterns have been going on for decades. And a lot of stuff you do on automatic, you're not really paying attention. Kind of like when you're driving home from work and suddenly you're sitting in your driveway and you're like, how the fuck did I get here? Because you weren't there along for the ride, right? There's all these like automated systems at play. And there's all these things we do with the people in our lives, conversations that we have, etc., actions that we take that we're so familiar with the outcome of those things. It's just the machinery playing. We're almost not even there while it's happening. So you're not even aware of like, when did you start it? And this is a lot like the butterfly effect. Like you're putting things into action all the times in your life, and there's an outcome down the road. And when it comes, you're like, hey, where did that come from? You don't remember how you moved that thing into action. So again, responsibility, the ability to see oneself at the source of what's happening, right? So one more thing I want to mention about this. I look at all things in life like relationships, right? Everything can be seen through the eyes of a relationship. So like my relationship to myself, my relationship to my spouse, my relationship to my business, my relationship to my health, my relationship to my spirituality, my God, whatever, right? Everything is relationships. Now, I imagine everybody here at some point in time has been in some kind of loving relationship or is in one currently right now. And you guys know that most relationships and the way that people view them are through the eyes of 50-50, right? You do your share, I'll do my share. Now, that's wonderful when the relationship gets started because you're both feeding each other a lot of energy. But like all things in life, eventually something will happen and it will create what we call an uh-oh moment, like, uh-oh, something is wrong here. And in that moment, whether it was like you guys had a fight or whether some circumstance or whether something from your past came up in your current relationship and it started freaking you out, whatever it might be, it's now causing a challenge in your relationship. So let's say you guys got into an argument, okay? And because of that argument, if your view of responsibility is blame, the blame model, that's the 50-50 model. Now you're saying, you did this to me. You're making me unhappy, right? And you start pointing the finger, again, blame. And I want you again to look in your relationships, has that ever really worked for you? Or is it just make you feel like shit, make them feel like shit? Now, in that situation where you have that 50-50 split, what ends up happening is you're creating a stalemate situation because you both have the view of the relationship that you both own 50% of it, which means that if she did something to you or he did something to you, now you're both waiting for the other person to take the first action. You go, when they apologize, I'll apologize. When she finally says that thing, okay, then I'll give this up. Then I won't hold it against her anymore, right? And that's the conversation internally, this fucking battle over and over again. But, or I should say, and having that view, having that paradigm, having that model is destroying your relationships. It's killing your communication. It's killing your vitality. It's killing the love that you have. That's for damn sure, right? So that's the model that the most, if not all, the world is currently operating out of right now. It's 50-50 all the way. All right, government does it. Okay, then if I see the government doing the right thing, I'll start doing the right thing too. If my neighbor starts throwing out his trash, and recycling, you know what? I'll do it too. But Joe is a fucking asshole. He's not throwing out his trash, so I'm not going to do it either. Destroying the planet, right? Like that kind of stuff. And we constantly wait for something else to happen, the perfect circumstance to arise, the perfect situation to arise, before we say, well, we're willing to take action. Again, that's the blame model. So what's the other model? Well, here's the other paradigm we can operate out of. In the seat of responsibility, I source this. That model is not 50-50. That's 100% here, 0% over there. Now, guys, this is not the truth, but it is a way of looking at things that consistently has you looking at what you need to transform and what you need to let go of in order to take a consistent action with the results that you want in your life. I imagine everybody on this webinar right now wants better communication with the people they love in their life, wants to have a greater experience of love, wants to have a better spiritual connection, wants to be connected to the planet in a more meaningful way, wants to be connected to their common man in a more meaningful way, right? Like, I imagine at the heart center of all of us, that's what we all freaking want. So the happiest man I ever saw in a relationship was a man who had an agreement with his wife that no matter what happened, even if he thought he was right, the agreement was he would always be the first to apologize. Happiest man I've ever seen. And to a lot of people who are operating out of a paradigm of a 50-50 model, they go, that seems odd. Because if he's constantly to blame, isn't he going to feel like shit? And he's going to be like, he's going to feel like he's losing his power. And I say, absolutely not. Because his paradigm is, I'm at the source of making sure that I have the most delicious, unbelievable, incredible relationship possible with this woman. And every time he apologizes for something, he creates space in the relationship for something new to arise. And when it arises and they transform together and the communication comes back in and the love comes back in and all that stuff that you want in a really beautiful relationship comes back in, he gets to know that he sourced that he created that outcome in the relationship. Do you know how freaking amazing that is? So your whole life can look like that everywhere. Like, you ask Ilan and I what we've done in our business, how we've done it in our business. Ilan, responsibility.
Yep, 100%.
Right? We've done things through responsibility. All our relationships, responsibility. When I was younger, many of you guys know this, dealt with depression, suicide, anger, and my view of the world was that I was a victim. Everything was happening to me all the time. So when I got angry, I felt super justified in it. I felt righteous, and I would shit all over everybody. And I'd say, you clean up the mess, right? Because I still felt like they were doing something to me. That can only happen in a 50-50 model. And then I would just leave them with the mess. And I was like, all right, well, you know what? When you change your attitude, come back and talk to me. We can talk about being friends again. And I burnt a lot through my relationships like that. Completely lost any relationship to connection with people, love and affinity for myself and others out the window. You do that long enough, that leads to thoughts like suicide. It's a psychosomatic disease, nothing more. It's not like my genes were broken, right? But how many people do you know that are operating like that every single day? It's been going on for decades. They don't remember that they are the ones that even chose to begin that path in the first place. No other training, no other paradigm to operate out of. So we really want to urge you and assert to look for yourself in the areas of life that are not working for you. Even if you're sitting there right now with a notepad and a pen, I hope you have one, right? Take like a minute or 30 seconds and write down like an area or two of life right now that for you feels like there is a lack. Whether it's in a relationship, whether it's your health, your money, your feeling of abundance, your connection to source, whatever it might be. And I promise you, look at the view that you currently have. I promise there's some part of you that's like looking to blame that other party, and that's not taking responsibility. Now take blame out of it. Stop making it such a moral issue. If you want to stay exactly where you are, feel guilty. If you want to stay exactly where you are, feel shame. But that's all you're going to have is exactly more of exactly what you already have. I promise you, it doesn't go anywhere. Give up the right to go there. And if you're going to feel guilty and shame, at least put a timeline on it. Like put it like a time limit. Like, all right, for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to let myself feel a little bit shitty and let that pass through me. But have the intention of letting it pass through you, not holding on to it like this. And when you let that go and you say, okay, from the point of view of how can I be responsible for this? How did I create this? And if you have enough courage to go there and actually look at your life through that lens, you're going to immediately see that the way that you were being led to the actions that you took and gave you the result that you had with that person, the situation, your business, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, when you take responsibility, you're going to find that something is like, oh shit, I could have been this way. And if I had been that way, I would have taken these actions. I would have gotten a different result. Most of you guys never look at how you're being, and you keep being the same way. And because you're being the same way, that being takes the same actions, and those actions get you the same results. That's why you keep getting the same argument, or you keep meeting the same person, or you keep having the same boss, or you keep having struggles with your financial situation or your experience of your own self-worth, whatever it might be. And trust me, talking from crazy experience of sleeping with bedrock and thinking my life needs to be over for about 5 straight years. So talking from experience and having, quantum leap that to go to the other side, I'm telling you, this is what sourced a massive transformation in my ability to have the exact life that I want to have by design and have relationships that work for me with an experience of love and creation. And that's what's available to all you guys. Okay? So I'll leave it off at that for now.
Though I want to add one other thing is that when we do private coaching and stuff, okay, one of the things that we're always listening for when people tell us the story of this situation or that situation or how X is going or Y is going, what we're always listening for is where are they not 100% responsible for that? Because the second that you go to, like, I'll give you an example from today. Today, I was talking to one of my personal clients, and she says to me the situation with her mom and how every time she's with her mom, the conversation steers towards her mom complaining about money. Okay? To which I replied, and because, so back up one step, because of that, this girl doesn't enjoy being around her mom, right? Because she's kind of on a different path, and every time she's around her mom complains, and she feels like she can't do anything, so she's just sitting there listening to her mom complain, and she's sick and tired of it, so it doesn't make it exciting to go, obviously, spend time with her mom. Now, the problem is that because of that, she feels guilty that she doesn't have a better relationship with her mom, but when she tells me the story, what I hear is that there's helplessness there around her mom being this way, right? So right away, the thing that gets triggered, and I want you guys to start being ninjas about this for yourselves, okay? Right away, when you explain this, the exercise guy told you is, write out situations in your life or things that you blame or people that you blame and just see what's there. Because right there, as soon as I heard that, I said, listen, you're not being 100% responsible for your relationship with your mom. You're doing like, I'm going to do 80%. And when my mom shifts this other 20%, we're going to have a great relationship. Here's the thing. Say her mom never changes. And say her mom dies whenever, right? She's going to be the one left with the guilt. She's going to be the one left feeling shitty. Right? So what we spoke about is this is the question. What could you be responsible for or willing to be responsible for that you aren't willing to be responsible for now? And just to kind of spin this thing forward, 10 minutes later, she's looking at, well, I haven't ever said to my mom that when she talks and complains about money, that it bothers me. Mm-hmm. I've never actually laid that groundwork. So I sit there and I let her do this thing, and inside I'm fuming. I was like, well, have you ever told her that if she wants to talk about money, you're absolutely open to talk with her about it with the understanding that it's going to go somewhere. If she's just looking to complain, you don't want that to be part of your relationship. Have you ever said that? No, I've never said that. Do you think that saying something like that would make an actual difference in your relationship? As a matter of fact, I do. Right? And then that conversation led, well, she also does this with politics. And I was like, well, have you ever told her that you don't want to speak to about politics? And I shared with her my personal thing around politics specifically. My in-laws are super, super like Fox News watching Republicans, which is the complete opposite side of where I am, right? Now, I don't like politics either way. I don't think either side is excellent. I don't give a shit about any of them. They're all morons to me. But having said that, I knew that every time they would bring that up, something inside of me would come up, and I would just feel very, like it would get all these gears pumping inside of me, and I was just not having a good time. And so one day I made a request. I just made a request. I didn't say like, hey, shut the fuck up. Like, I can't listen to you guys talk about that, because you also have to be gracious. It's not about just like shitting on someone. You have to do it with grace and love, right? So here's what I said. I said something along the lines of, look, when we have these conversations about politics, I personally do not enjoy them. So if it's something that you guys want to talk amongst yourself, I'm all for it. I just don't want to be around it when that's happening. So if I excuse myself from the table, it's not that I don't love you. It's not that I don't respect you. It's just that I'm choosing not to be part of this conversation. Okay? And I let them say whatever there was for them to say. Here's the cool part. I don't remember the last time I've had a conversation around politics with my in-laws, right? You can retrain people. The thing is, though, if you are constantly in a state of, I'm going to give 90%, just give me the 10, right? Like 95, just give me 5%, like show me some effort. Show me that you're doing something. Any part of you that does that, you've missed the point. You've lost all control. You've sold out to buying whatever excuse that this situation is somehow fixed.
Well, bro, I want you to speak to this. So Marco says, aren't you just making ground rules for how relationship is going to move forward? So why is having that conversation different than setting ground rules versus like you taking responsibility for the communication in the room?
So where most people, so look, I'm all for setting ground rules. Like I have no issue with that, right? We do it unconscious anyway. Guys, you unknowingly set up ground rules with your kids, with your spouse, with your people at work. Like they know how to interact with you, how not to interact with you. They know what to do to push your buttons. You've trained them on all of it, conscious or unconscious. Taking responsibility for is I could sit there, right, and fume and get upset and get defensive and all of this stuff, which at the end of the day, here's the crazy part, is not even me doing any of that. It's my ego. Because to the ego, a good argument, losing an argument, I should say, is like death. That's the equivalent of death to the ego. It's the same thing as a lion mauling you. So the ego gets real fired up in these situations. Now, what I'm committed to in my relationship with my in-laws is love and connection. Having that experience doesn't give me access to that, nor does it give them access to that. Because if I cut them off, right, even though I'm sitting there and arguing, I've literally cut them off. I've cut love and connection. So what I can be responsible for is the way the relationship is going, the lack of love, the lack of connection is my causing, is my responsibility.
Yeah.
Right? Because I allow for the space for that conversation to be present in there. Okay? If I know that I'm allowing, right, like I'm 100% responsible, I take that on, that means that I'm allowing for this conversation to be in that space. Once I have that outlook, now I can also be responsible for moving that conversation out of my space, right? And the thing is, you have to do this with grace. Because if you do it from a judgy, like I'm upset standpoint, or if you do it while the conversation is happening, you're poo-pooing on the situation. This is the conversation that happens like when that conversation isn't even brought up. It's not politics come up and you go like that and react. No. This is, hey, you know what I've noticed recently? I've noticed that when we speak about politics, it just gets aggressive. People start yelling. It never really goes anywhere. So I'm just thinking, look, do we agree that what we want in our relationship is love and connection? Yes, right? Do you feel that we have love and connection when we're talking about politics? No, absolutely, right? Because they're in the same vein. So can we just make an effort? Because again, listen, you can't say like we will never do this because we're humans, right? Can we make an effort that we don't have these kind of conversations, that we can actually engage in conversations that we feel love and connection from? Who the fuck is going to say no to that? Right? And so that's it. And I don't know if it's called setting up ground rules. Like, I don't know if you want to do that. To me, it's not really setting up ground rules. It's setting up effective relationships, effective ways to communicate with people.
It's creating alignment in terms of we're both oriented around having the same goals in the relationship, which is love, connection, vitality, all these different things. Anything that's taking that away from us, right, in terms of that, like none of us are committed to that. And then the ultimate, doesn't really freaking matter what your opinion is politically or anything else. You know, to some people it might, and they might still want to engage in that. But at least like most people, when you tell them something that could cause what's the word I'm looking for? A skerfuffle? Is that a word? Am I making that up?
You're definitely making up a word. That is not a
Kerfuffle?
word.
Isn't like a kerfuffle like a
Kerfuffle?
kerfuffle is like some kind of resistance? Whether it is or it isn't, right now kerfuffle means creating resistance with people. You know, like what people are concerned with is that they're losing your respect, your love, or your trust. And if it's very clear inside of the way that you're communicating with people that that's not the case, like it's not that, this just doesn't work for me, it's fine, right? And that's it. You're aligning, you're being clear in your communication, and you're speaking to your needs. People are terrible at creating their boundaries and saying and really speaking clearly. They hide things. They think if they just show that like grimace face, like the other person's going to pick it up and subtly pick up on their cues and like in their conversation and stuff like that. And people don't, because our experience of self is so self-absorbed. We're barely conscious of our own experience, nevertheless what other people are doing, right? So, okay, I like these questions, but I do want to move through, and I think unless you have more to say about it.
I just, two other things, because I'm kind of reading these things. One is around Guy and I don't know, Guy, if you agree with this, but I assert that around us, people do not complain.
No, we don't have space for complainers.
So here's the thing. Guy and I have created space to hold any way that most people be. I mean, really, like that's our game. We just expand and expand and expand so we can be with everything. Any circumstance, any situation, etc. What we are not okay with is people complaining. And so I remember, look, people in your life complain. People around you complain. They're human beings, right? So we actively went out and altered the conversations around us because we became 100% responsible for no complaint showing up in my life.
Right.
The people around me live amazing lives. They do not fucking complain to me. They go to complain to other people, not to me. Well, you come to me when you're done complaining. Well, you come to me when you want to get through something. When you're done with this way of living and you're ready to just move on. You're done and sick and tired of complaining, right? So we've done that through owning our space and owning the way that people show up in our space and being 100% responsible for that. And guess what? To have conversations with people to say like, listen, if you want to complain about this and you're not actually looking for another perspective or a solution or something like that, honestly, I'm not your guy. Like, go speak to your girlfriends or go speak to those people or whatever you want. It just, I'm not that person, right? And you can do it in a gracious way. And I'm telling you right now, like, that shit does not show up for us. Mm-hmm. It just does not. People, my conversation is, you come into our space, your dreams are fulfilled. That's the space. Truly, like, we make people's dreams come true. Not we. Like, I don't actually do anything. I just know that in my space, people live amazing lives. Right? And I cannot have that and complaints in the same place at the same time. And I just want to read out loud what Anna said because I think it's beautiful, which is, I was blaming my boss for 2 years because I hated the job I have chosen myself. I was blaming my parents who did not advise me not to accept this job at this time. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Like, Anna, what you want to get is you aren't even the one doing that. It's the ego, right? Ego gets a job. In an ego's world, the job is supposed to be fruitful, fun, amazing, growth, all of that stuff, right? And then you get a job where you have a boss that's challenging or a job that's challenging. And all of a sudden the ego goes, well, that's not what we had in mind. And this is what it goes to do. Who do I blame for why it's not showing up the way we had it in mind?
Right.
Oh, I know. I'll blame the boss. He's the one that's making this miserable for me. Oh, I know. I'll go back a little bit further. Why didn't my parents tell me not to take this job? Like, do you guys get the insanity of this?
I think it's important to like start understanding to have a sense of humor and how not serious it is. Like, and I know we're going a little off stream, and I don't care if this is all we talk about this session, honestly, because it really is that powerful. Because it's like it's at the core of what can transform everything. We can create a whole context of things for you guys, but if this is all we do today, this is awesome. So I think what Ilan and I got really interested in and made an agreement for is that we're interested in other people's happiness. Like, being at like sourcing and making sure that the people in our lives are living great lives. And we have evidence for this like everywhere you look. I mean, down to people who live with me out here in California. It's like I am known as the home you come to transform your life inside of and like take things to the next level. Every roommate I've had here has expanded and grown their life to a completely different area. And for no other reason except we're having different conversations, mostly because no one's fucking complaining about anything, right? We've learned that sharing and working through things versus complaining and keeping them in place really works. But we've also learned.
Just one second.
Yeah, please.
Imagine how much time you guys spend complaining. And I don't care how spiritually conscious or whatever you are, we all complain. We're human beings, right? Just imagine for a second, if you took out the amount of time that you complain, how much time you'd actually have to do the shit that you've intended to do. Just one thing, like notice through your day. You want an exercise for the next week? Notice how many times you complain and alter the complaint that time. Like as soon as you notice it, change it to something else instantly. And you just start reprogramming this brain of yours to stop doing that, to become a solution finder, to become someone that seeks perspectives that empower you and don't pull you down, will change your life.
Yeah,
sorry.
And no, it's fine. And I want to clarify that this doesn't mean that you don't get to share what's not working in your life, but I would say more succinctly, what's disempowering you currently. But sharing is a really different experience because sharing is, Ilan, I got to tell you, I'm like kind of having a bad day. I'm not feeling very confident today. And here's why. XYZ happened. I'm really dealing with this right now, but I'm saying it to like, let go of it, right? To like, I'm not trying to create agreement. I'm not looking for Ilan to go, oh my God, yes, that's so terrible. That happened to me too. We call that trauma sharing. Okay. And for the most part, this is what people get hooked on is trauma sharing. Like, imagine you had like hip surgery. If you met Billy today, Billy was like a new friend and Billy's like, wait, you've had hip surgery? And Billy's like, yeah, I've had that too. You guys are going to be like high-fiving, like, woo, yeah, hip surgery. But we do that about everything. Everything we dislike, we connect over, we trauma share. And what you're doing is creating a negative feedback loop over and over again into yourself with people who agree about the shit in your life. Instead of talking about the things that you dream about, what you want to create, the future you're stepping into, and having people put agreement around that stuff and pushing you into that place. This is crazy what we're doing, right? So what is always interesting to me about humans is from the moment we do one of these, like Ilan and I shake hands, even though we can't do it, but do this.
Is that how we shake hands, like this?
Well, I can't hear it. Like if you put your hand through the screen, maybe it'll look like we're kind of doing that. You gotta move it. Look, there we go. It still looks really weird. That actually looks terrible. Let's never do that again. But here's the thing. From the moment that we shake hands with somebody, right, what do? We ask each other questions. Where are you from? How do you do? Because what we're looking is for some kind of way to relate to them. We call it background or relatedness. We're looking for a way to relate to them because it makes us feel instantly comfortable. The other thing that we do is we ask questions because question leads to stories. And what humans do is we share stories to upload and download information to one another. So inside of my stories, whether or not I'm telling you what I like, what I'm good at, you know, what I do for a living, where I live, what my life experience is, my stories will intuitively in your subconscious plant ideas about me, feed you seeds that then will give you a description of my identity. And just imagine if you go like on first dates or you meet new people, you know, you tell your fucking stories over and over again, the same ones you've been telling for decades. Oh my God, yeah, that time I went to the lake, like it's the same stories because you know that those stories instill certain lessons inside of people. So those people know now what guy likes, what guy doesn't like, what he's good at, what he's bad at, what pisses him off, what makes him happy, blah, 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 blah. And again, we do this nearly underneath the level of our consciousness. Now, here's the funny part. After we go and train everyone in our environment, right? So we have like this network, like you have your friend, you have your immediate family, then you have like your friends and like your associates, and these circles go out and out, but we train everybody the same way. And then the next thing we do is we get in an argument with the way that our environment is, feeding our identity back to ourselves, even though that we're the one that trained them what our identity is. Now that's freaking nuts. But here's the good news. Since you're the person who trained all those people to give you those loops back on yourself and create that kind of experience of reality through your identity sharing, you can recreate that with those people at any given time and recreate and transform those stories so that they see you as the new you. And here's what I always tell people. One of the things that humans do to test their reality is we test it through agreement. If a lot of people agree, it must be true. So if like your 5 or 10 closest friends, that's what interventions are. They come in, they tell you you're an alcoholic or an angry holic or whatever. Oh, fuck, it must be true. Everyone's telling me that I am, right? We use that to measure our reality. Now, you can't get away from that point of view because that's built into our biology, is to look for patterns through other people to get markers about how we are. So when you have a transformative thought like, wow, I'm going to take responsibility for this, or I'm never going to do that again, or tomorrow I'm going to start doing that. That's a transformative thought. Those things can change your life, right? Like somebody who's been smoking for 30 years going, I'm never going to smoke again. That's a transformative thought. Or I'm going to start working out tomorrow 5 days a week. That's a transformative thought. Now, if you walk out into your environment and everybody in your environment knows you as a person who never works out, when you're like, hey guys, I'm going to lose 30 pounds. They're like, yeah, fucking right, Billy. Go home, right? Because you've trained them for 30 years that Billy's lazy, sits on the couch and eats potato chips. But here you are, you've had this transformative thought that could change your life. And you walk out into your environment and there's no agreement. So you go, fuck, that must not be true. I must not be that person. All right, I'm not going to go work out. Instead of enrolling, right? Instead of changing the story in your environment, saying, hey guys, I know for the last 30 years, I've been saying I'm going to work out. And in the last few weeks, I've been having like some serious conditions here. And I am clear that something needs to change. So here's what I'm creating for my life now. And this is the impact I believe it's going to have on me. I want you to help me be held accountable to getting to the gym, right? That changes the story. So now when you go to the gym, your friend is like, hey, Bill, what's up, man? How was your day? Did you end up going to the gym today? And you're like, no, I haven't, but thank you for the reminder, right? Like you start creating agreement through your environment and your transformation becomes easy because the moment that everyone's conversation about you is transformed, you step out into your environment now and there's complete agreement for that transformation. It's easy. This is also why people go to courses, read books, have all these things, and they feel really inspired. Super inspired, rah, yeah, I got my energy way up. And then 2 days later, you can't remember why you're excited. Why? Because there's still no agreement in your environment for this thing that you've transformed. Again, you could take responsibility for transforming those stories, but most people, instead of taking responsibility for those stories, they blame the other people for having the stories, the one that you helped them create. You guys get the insanity? This is madness. Yeah. So this is where you can constantly be at the seat of taking responsibility for the conversations that you created, for the actions that you've taken, for the things that it's impacted people and how it's impacted you. You can say when those things change, and then your job is to go and share in what you now see with those people and change the stories. And the more you do that, the more power you have in your life, the more things will expand for you, the more people will be aligned with the new view of life that you have. And you could transform like this really, really fast.
We're definitely not going to get to integrity today because it's a whole whoop ass of a conversation. We cannot start.
Which is fine.
This is great. I want to answer Marco's question here, which is really, really great. And he said, I'm almost certain that if I sat my friends down and said, I don't want this in our conversation or don't want that when we meet, set ground rules, quote unquote, they would probably say I'm a control freak. So Marco, here's what I want to say. The fact that when we were having this conversation, your brain goes to ground rules tells me that you operate in that way, right? Like to you, life is rules. Order, logic, very logic brain. Nothing wrong with that. Amazing quality. Has great qualities and also destructive qualities, right? So I'm going to give you guys, this is not new. Again, you're going to hear this. You're going to be like, well, that just makes sense. But a secret weapon to having these conversations is you don't make any of it about them. Share your story. Share your experience, right? So who said it before here? Anna was basically saying that she realized today that every time she speaks to her mom, she complains at least about something. It could be anything, even the weather, she was saying, right? And what I wrote to her, that's a huge insight, share that with her. And not share that with her in a sense of like, Mom, I'm going to stop complaining or, you know, whatever. But you could say, and Marco, you could do the same thing, be like, listen, here's what I've realized recently. I realize that when I complain, I disconnect. I'm not connected to you. I'm not present. I'm just rattling off a whole bunch of shit. And the worst part of it that I've realized is the more I keep talking about the complaints that I have, the more I've actually manifested that stuff in my life. It's crazy. I'm done with it. So you're my friend. I would love for you to help support me in that. Because I know it's not going to be easy, and I know I can't do this on my own because I'm just kind of programmed to do these things. Will you play that game with me? Right? It has nothing to do with them. But in you doing that, do you think they sat there and weren't listening and going, huh, I kind of do that too. Yeah. Would you do that for me? Right? And next thing you know, and even if they don't do that, who cares? Right? You've already opened the door to something. We all learn from stories. We don't learn from people telling us what to do. So when you're talking about setting ground rules, yeah, that's gonna come off to them like, dude, don't tell me how to live my fucking life.
It's forced, it's manipulative, absolutely, if that's the context.
Right? So that's the context, that's your background. Where the other background is, look, I'm committed to people in my life having the most kick-ass lives ever. I'm telling you, I'm a dream maker. You want your dreams to come true? Come hang out around us. I'm telling you, like, I don't know how, I don't know why, and I don't know if it's just the fact that we believe it. I'm just clear that we listen to people's greatness, right? And so I can say things to people that other people can't get away with. Because my context, my background is, how do I make your biggest self come out? How do I make that incredible soul, infinite life inside of you be the thing that drives your life, right? So in the way of that are limiting beliefs. In the way of that is your ego. In the way of that are ways that are ineffective for you. And if you know that that's the background, right? I don't go around telling people how to live their lives. Not unless they ask. Absolutely not. I don't tell people how to live, what to believe, how to eat, nothing. But you know what? We get asked a lot, right? Like, how do you do this or how do you do that? Because we've created ourselves over time as those kind of people. So, Marco, just to kind of close the loop on this, when your intention is clear, and it's not just some self-serving like, hey, motherfuckers, stop complaining because I honestly can't listen to you anymore, right? And that's the background. If that's the background, there's nothing that you can say that's going to move that needle. Literally nothing. But if the background comes from, I want deeper, more meaningful relationships with the people of my life. I want the people around me to be absolute badasses. That's all they will hear. They won't hear ground rules. They'll hear, yo, Marco's playing a brand new game. Brand new. I'm up for playing that game. I want to go there. Right? So again, for all of you guys, I'm begging you, like your homework for the week is whatever insight you got here, you go and share that with the people that matter most to you. Hey, dude, I was just on this webinar. I had this like aha moment. Can I just share with you what I've learned about myself? Boom. Whole new world, whole new conversation. And ask people to hold you to account. You can't, guys, you cannot do this stuff on your own. The reason we have an academy, a community of people, is because we're clear that without an accountability partner, without an accountability community, you cannot do this. Like Guy and I transformed our entire circle. There's not a single person in our lives that hasn't done personal development work. Our parents, we've done courses with our parents. I mean, I fucking did ayahuasca with my parents. Like, we got some amazing parents. My wife, my kids haven't yet. They're young. All of our friends, literally all of our friends have done some sort of personal development work.
And I think that's your option, right, guys? Like, look, you can stand for greater and greater in this world. And if your lenses are, well, I'm into development work. I'm transforming myself. I'm growing as a human being. And the next thing you do is you make everybody wrong who's not doing that. A, you're not abiding by your own work, right? Because now you're going right back to judging, assessing, making everybody wrong, they're wrong, I'm right, I'm blaming, blah, blah, blah. What good is doing any kind of personal spiritual development on yourself if you go and use that against people? If you choose this path and other people don't choose it with you, guess what? Their prerogative. If you go to Burger King and your best friend doesn't want to come with you, you don't kill off that relationship. Now, if you want to be around and surround yourself by people who are speaking differently, thinking differently, etc., that's your prerogative. As I've gotten older over the years, and understand flow states, understand how my environment is impacting my day-to-day, how I'm growing, my development, what I believe I'm capable of, I've gotten very rigorous with the people I spend my time with. I'm looking for people who are playing bigger games or having bigger conversations, but I didn't go tell the people who are not up to those games to go fuck off. And if it came to a point where there was a part in the relationship that was interfering with where I wanted to go, I had a gracious conversation with them about how this no longer works for me. This is what I'm up to, and this is what I'm aligned with. And it's not about making them wrong. I made sure they were taken care of, and the experience of love was there, and they were listened to, and got whatever concerns they might have had, and vice versa. Maybe that would have even created an opening for transformation for that person. Who knows? But I know that I've gotten extremely rigorous with who I spend my time with, because I truly do believe that you are the average of your environment. They say you take your 5 closest friends, take their income, that's your income. Take that average, that's your income. I believe that to be about everything, about your level of happiness. Like, you want to see how happy you are? Look at, and check out how happy the people around you are. You'll be the average of that happiness. So if you want to figure out how to get more happy, get interested in the people in your life being more happy. And instead of making them wrong for the way that they are, get interested in how you can support them and helping them create the things that they want in their life, because that's going to increase their joy. If they're happier, guess what happens to you? Way easier to be happy, right? So like, I make sure to spend my time with people who are, maybe they're not like freaking bubbling off the roof happy, although most of the people in my life are pretty damn happy. But if they're at least interested in having a conversation for how they can expand themselves and grow in a direction that would give them more power, self-expression, and all these amazing things in life, and that's what they're interested in, that's who I want to spend time with. All you guys who are on this webinar right now, I assert that's the kind of person you are also. You probably like spending time with people like us in these type of conversations, and you're here for the last hour plus minutes, and thank you guys for staying a little bit over time. We'll wrap it up real soon here for the same reasons. You enjoy this conversation. You're looking to expand yourself. It's a big deal to you, right?
All right. So are we wrapping?
Let's wrap it. So guys, look, these series, and it's amazing that we get to talk about this all class. I'm happy to just take one distinction per class, honestly, and do like an hour. And then this way, like, everyone has their 60 minutes. I feel like people kind of lose focus after a little bit more than this. But guys, here's the thing. Here's the rub. There's 2 things that we're there's one thing Ilan and I are super interested in, and that's global transformation. And we started our internet marketing business for no other reason, not to do IM, and not to do the things, like, we've done a lot of things that have been out of why we started the business, because we enjoy them. But at the core of what we love to do is we're all about transforming this planet. We want to have a different conversation. These are different conversations. You guys get this? On a global scale, these kind of conversations change the world. They change your society. They change the way people operate. There's a new paradigm. Possibility comes back into existence. A lot of things that are seriously missing from our day-to-day, as you guys know. And part of this expression is us doing live events. So some of you, I don't think anybody here was at our February live event in La Jolla, but it was an 8-day event. It was incredible. We spent about a day and a half of that doing developmental work with people. We are now producing a second event coming up in November here in San Diego. So in about, was it 3 months now? Like almost 3 months, right? 3 months and a week, something like that. Out here in San Diego at beautiful Hilton Hotel. It's right on Mission Bay. It's absolutely gorgeous. And we want to invite you to come and participate. Now here's the deal. Tickets to this are free. And here's why. So what we ask, if you are interested in coming, let me put this page up so you guys can see the info. What we ask is that if you want to join us, we ask that you put down a deposit to save your seat, because we believe in people paying to pay attention. We know that if you don't put something at stake, you're either just not going to show and then we can't count on you to be there, or you're just not going to like take this seriously. So we want you to have something at stake. So here's the deal we have with you. As long as you show up and finish the event with us, a 2.5-day event here in San Diego, within 7 days of the event concluding, and it'll probably be less than that, we're going to refund your money back to you, and literally it will be free for you to attend our event. Okay? We have all the information you need about booking rooms, etc. Jordan's helping us out with that, and all that stuff is set. So if you go to youwillhaveitall.com/live, you can actually get a preview of our last event, look at testimonials from people who experienced it, and get all the information that you need about the event. Okay? Now here's the thing. We're doing limited capacity for this thing. So if you guys take action early, you're going to get a lot more value from it, okay? So 2 things that we're giving you. So Ilan and I will decide who we felt, Ilan, maybe you could start going through this. Who's going to get the Mindfluence course today?
I'll tell you what. I want to know from you guys who believes they deserve the Mindfluence. You keep going.
Okay. Yeah, so we're going to give you, anybody who takes the event ticket, again, that we're going to refund back to you, you're going to get extra stuff. So you're going to get the Mindfluence course for free, the same one we're giving to someone for free today, but we'll include that in the package. You'll have instant access to that, which means you can start going through this kind of training, which also means some of the distinctions we'll be talking about during these live webinars, you'll already be aware of them, and we'll help you amp it up to the next level, okay? The second thing you're going to get is a 4-hour private pre-training session with Ilan and myself. So on the, thank you for letting me know that I need to leave places. So on the day that we start the event, it starts at 6 p.m. and we're having like a community dinner, kind of like a community mingle, so everyone can get to know each other. However, for people who take this, I think we're limiting it at 20 seats, and I believe we've sold at least 9, if not 10 already, for this private pre-training. So we have about 10 seats left for this. We're going to do a training between 2 and 6 p.m. and it's going to be completely different content than what everybody else gets at the event. It'll be specific just for this small group of people, very intimate, just with us. Just so you guys know, Ilan and I get paid right now between $1,000 and $1,500 an hour for developmental coaching. So 4 hours of coaching with us, we put at least $1,000, because who the fuck knows what the actual value retail price of that is? Yay, $1,000. Okay, so there's a lot of great stuff you can get by taking action on it now. We'd love to have you there. It's one thing to talk to you guys this way. It's another thing to see your faces when we're talking about stuff. I can see transformation on people. I can see when people need something. I'm extremely intuitive. So is Ilan. We are so good at what we do. You come spend 2.5 days with us, we guarantee you, you're going home a completely different human being.
Yeah.
Interacting differently, communicating differently, like completely new world of possibilities available to you. Okay. So if you want to come by yourself, it's $297. If you want to reserve a seat for you, a loved one, a friend, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, it's even cheaper. It's $500. Again, both of you guys will get refunded. No cost to come for the actual tickets to the event, okay? The other option is if you absolutely know that either the dates don't work for you, so the dates are November 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and we have a VIP day on the 6th also, which is dinner underneath the stars, whole other thing, but for right now, I want you to just focus on the 3rd through the 5th. And if you absolutely know either the dates don't work for you, or you just can't make it to San Diego, whatever your reasons are, I would at least, okay, let's say this, let's go back to that slide. If you want to be there, right? Because Ilan and I just went through this experience too. Just so you know, we hired a coach recently. Individually, each one of us are paying this coach $150,000. So I'm not telling you this to like blow smoke up anybody's asses or be like, look what we have capacity. For us, that's a push in terms of where we need to go financially, where we want to be as coaches, what we want to deliver on the planet. So over the next 12 months, Ilan and I are paying $300,000 for coaching. Get that? We're serious about this shit. Real serious. So we made that choice.
And scared shitless, FYI.
And right, exactly. And in the context of there's still fear, there's all those things, there's all the human things there, but we've built the capacity for taking action in the face of all those things. And our conversation was, if money wasn't an object, would we do this? And the answer was immediately yes. So for a lot of you guys, you make decisions like this. You're either a no, which is fine, by the way, if you are, and we thank you for spending time with us, and come back next week. Keep getting value from these webinars. Just come, enjoy it. It's free. Be here. You're either a yes, I want to be there. Great, go to the website, check yourself out right now. And the third option is you want to be there, but I want to get to this place, but XYZ, I don't have money, I don't have time, I'm not in good health, whatever your but is. I would assert, at least for you, to get some value from what we're doing here, look at that but and see if that but has come up before. Like, has that driven and made decisions in your life before in ways that could have made a difference had you made decisions differently? I imagine whatever comes after the but for you is running the show in a lot of areas of your life, and it's killing off possibility and a lot of ways that you could grow. So if you're yes, I want to be there, and you don't know how to make it work right now, then my request is you contact us. You can easily contact us by just sending an email, Ilan can write it in the box, support@SatoriPrime.com, or just email Ilan directly, Ilan@SatoriPrime.com. Yeah, Ilan@SatoriPrime.com. Guys, we seriously give a shit about you. And we really do make ourselves available. Like, our VA doesn't answer those emails. Ilan will answer those emails. They'll schedule a time to talk to you if it's appropriate, and we'll talk about how to get you there, right? We're pretty damn flexible people. We want to give you value. That's the bottom line. If you're an absolute no and you know you can't be there for whatever that reason is, if it's valid, great. If it's not, work on it. But you still want to be part of these conversations. We have online group coaching, bi-monthly group coaching. Okay, again, youwillhaveitall.com. You can go see. We have another webinar we did a while back, like introducing the program. You can come and join our bi-monthly coaching program. You could even test us out and see if we're really as great at this as we say that we are. And look, a month or two from now, if you decide to come to the event, it's still an option on the table. However, you're probably going to miss the 4-hour training and getting that program for free. And for those of you guys who are here today, we're even going to give you $100 off the first month of coaching. So instead of $197 a month, you can basically jump in for $97 a month. Our next session meets next Tuesday.
Yep.
Right? Next Tuesday. So you can literally like jump right on in to our coaching. Again, they're both on the same website, just so you guys see. This one is /live. This one's right on the homepage. And I have this as a PDF for you guys. So you guys can just go to youwillhaveitall.com /slides, I think. That actually doesn't make sense. I put on the same domain. I will change it. I'll put at SatoriPrime.com /slides. And you guys can actually take these slides. If you want to look at the info, click over to it later, whatever. But it is there at youwillhaveitall.com /slides. I don't know why I put it there. That doesn't make any sense to me now. But I did. So that's pretty much it. I'm not much of a salesperson, but I do know how to change people's lives. And I know that if you come to this event, we are radically going to shift the future of your life. And I know that's a bold statement, but that's what I know that we can offer.
I want to add one other thing. So Guy and I committed to hiring this coach. So here's how the conversation went. We showed up onto the call thinking that what we were going to spend between the two of us was $60,000. And we had a long, hard conversation about what that would look like and if we can make that happen and all of that kind of shit, okay? We got on the call and realized as we were talking to this chick that what was being offered for 60 grand wasn't really what we were looking for to serve us, like wasn't going to be the thing that takes us to the next level. So we started looking at all the other options. And I remember at the end of the conversation, I ended the conversation like, all right, now we know everything's on the table. And I said this to Guy. I said, Guy, we'll get off and then we'll look at what we can do and then we'll get back to you. So she stopped me right there, dead in my tracks. And she goes, just listen to your language. What I can do. If you're looking for what you can do, that's ego already speaking. That's ego already looking at how do I stay comfortable where I don't push myself and I do something that still fits inside my thing, but maybe it's just like a little bit out here, right? She's like, fuck what can you do? Look at what would serve you best. What do you want to do? Leave aside all the other things. Just look at what do you want to do? And from there, choose want. The rest will figure itself out, right? So we hung up the phone and I was like, bro, I want the full thing. Like, that's what I want. And then it kicks in, right? But we can't do that. How are we going to afford this? And you know what? Here's what I know, and Guy will validate this. Every time we've done something like this that scares the shit out of us, that monetarily puts us in a very, very scary predicament, okay? Where it's almost like, how the fuck are we going to come up with the money to do this? Like, this takes a huge chunk of our change every single month, right? And every time we've done that, here's what happens. God, universe, whatever you want to call it, always provides. Always. It's not like I'm looking for money to sell heroin to kids, right? I'm looking for money to better myself so that I can transform more human beings on the planet. Do you think the universe is standing up there and going, nah, give it to that schmuck over there? No, it's like, fuck yeah, Ilan, thank you. Welcome to the party. Here's everything you need. And here's what happened. Literally 4 hours later, a guy sent me a contact of a billionaire who's looking for a coach that wants to hire us for $5,000. Since that time, I've gotten 2 other people that want to join our $3K a month coaching programs. Like, look here, and we haven't even sent in one payment yet to this coach. We've said yes. We've said yes. We're 100% committed. We don't make our first payment till October. And all this stuff happens. Guys, your life changes the moment you say yes to something. You don't have to wait till November to have the results. Say yes, have the results now.
It's true.
Show up in November with like a completely new life. Mm-hmm. Say yes.
Guys, it's just like when you buy a ticket to go on vacation, right? You are now saying yes to something that's coming in your future, and that future impacts you in the present. So it's like, you know, if you've gone on vacation, right? Like you're going to the Bahamas, you're going to some tropical location. If that's 3-4 months away, what are you doing? You start heading to the gym, you go buy new clothes, you get your hair done, you get tan. Like that future is having you take actions consistent, right? In the present with the future that's coming. And that's how it always works. That's the way that life really is. It really is not the impact of your past. And we could talk about that on the next session or whatever sessions. Like I believe universe, God, again, whatever you call it, doesn't matter to me, as long as you're empowered in your context for it, that it requires, if it responds to boldness and it responds with abundance every single time. And we've done this so many times now, including in our event in February, by the way, where we put out more money than I knew what to do with, like literally almost broke the company, like put the company at zero almost financially. And the month after that, we somehow made more money in a single month than we knew what to do with. Way more than the event cost. Like, and we didn't do anything in any other area of our business to do that, but everything else in the business escalated while we were spending all this money in the event. In service, we just responded with boldness and it responded with abundance. So this has happened so many times now that we've gone to a level of comfort, even though this is uncomfortable, like being comfortable with being uncomfortable, you could say, that we legitimately believe in a phenomenon that we see time and time again. We're students of phenomenology. And the phenomenon we keep seeing is when we step out in a big way that makes us really uncomfortable, but we know we're yes to that, amazing things happen in our life. And that's just how it's been. So, you know, you could take our word for it or not, but my experience has been with coaching people and having them radically show up in a different way in their life and make choices that are uncomfortable. Guys, like you saying yes when it's like easy and comfortable doesn't really create much of a push in terms of your transformation. Ilan and I are constantly putting ourselves in situations, as far as training is concerned, that are massively uncomfortable to us. And I'm telling you, every time, like 100% of the time, it's just like been just magic floods in.
If this, look, here's how you know. This part of your chest will tingle. It'll feel like it wants to pull you forward. It'll be like, yes, go do that thing, right? And you'll listen to you and be like, yeah, I want to do it. And then what's the next thing that happens? This guy starts talking. No, don't do that. Why would we do that? That's crazy. How are we going to pay for that? What are we going to do? Where are we going to stay? We don't know what to do. This is crazy. Don't listen. Right? Here's what I've learned to train myself. Trust this thing. Just trust it. It will always lead you the right way. It will always make sure you're taken care of. Just start to listen to it. If you look at your life, everything great that's happened in your life is because you've listened to this voice. And that could be the perfect partner for your business, the perfect partner for your life, the decision to leave a partner, the decision, whatever it is. The quiet voice, the one that you can't listen to unless you're silent and you really feel, that voice is the one that should guide your life. This thing is your worst enemy. At best, it's your worst enemy. Just realize that. Look, validate this through your own life experience, not through mine. I am telling you, this is my compass now. I turned down one of the best designers for web, like we're doing a rebrand. I turned down, this chick's worked with the most amazing people. And what did I say to you after we got off the phone with her?
Doesn't feel right.
I was just like, you know what? This isn't moving. Like I had nothing. Like it was like nothing. I felt like I had a business conversation. I was like, wow, she's really qualified. And nothing happened. Our branding person, I didn't know her from a hole in the wall. I never looked at her website. I got recommended her. I had one conversation with her and I was like, Guy, we're hiring this chick as a branding person. He's like, based on what? I was like, I'm telling you, we're supposed to work with this person. And we did. And now she's coming on board and she's going to be like partnering with us. So the more you can trust that intuition, if your intuition is singing and it's like, get to fucking San Diego, get to fucking San Diego. There's something magical waiting for you there, right? I don't know what it is. I'm just telling you, for anything in your life, like start listening more to that than to your head. You will see your bank account grow. You will see the perfect person show up in your life or leave your life. Like, it's an unbelievable source of energy, of wisdom, of everything. Trust that, okay? All right, so the giveaway, I'm going to give it to, or we are going to give it to, Mirel Moscow. And because of two things. One, you woke up in the middle of God knows what time night to come be with us. Super interactive. I've also never seen your name, so I'm excited to get to know you a little bit better and for you to get to know us a little bit better. And you were also the first person to say, I do deserve it. And just as a side note for everybody else, if you participated and you didn't say that for some reason, just check in with yourself. Like, why didn't I believe that I deserve it? Because trust me, all of you deserved it. Okay? And that's it for me.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap for me.
All right, friends. We really, really love spending time with you. Come back next week. See the emails, Facebook, whatever. Registration page will be available to you guys. Come have a conversation. We're just going to expand on these distinctions. We're going to give you more tools. And here's the thing, like, there's nothing for you to do, really. It's just observe, right? We're giving you distinctions so that you have a new view, a new lens. Like, we want you to put on a new pair of glasses and just walk around and just see what you see. See where you're not taking responsibility. See where in your relationships aren't working. I promise you, where vitality isn't, where love isn't present, where communication isn't present. What's not present is responsibility. That's easy to notice. And then look for, where can I take responsibility? And the moment you feel yourself feeling guilty or shame or blaming, know that you're not moving anything forward. You're keeping it exactly as it is, right? So change your pair of glasses. Just walk around, notice. And when we come back next week, come to share. And if you want, I don't know how many of you guys are part of our SatoriPrime Mindset and Business and Mindset group on Facebook. Join it. Share your insights from today. Let us know what's going on. I can drop in here super quick if you guys want to be part of that group. We're also doing a 30-day meditation challenge in there, which I really wanted to talk about today, but we just didn't have the time. Come be part of the challenge. Come find new tools, new ways to develop yourselves, to find peace, to find love, to find communication. This stuff, no joke, it works, right?
Absolutely.
No joke.
Absolutely works. Guys, thank you so much for showing up. Thank you so much for staying, being engaged, being present. I'm going to leave you with one last challenge, okay? Take a moment after after we shut this down, okay? Take 5 minutes. Write something in your journal. Write one action, okay? Write one action and one person that you're going to share either an insight that you got here with, or you're going to have a conversation. I know for Anna, for example, she was talking about how she complains with her mom. Anna, go have that conversation with your mom. Hey, Mom, you know what I realized? I realized that when I get on the phone, I just complain to you. I'm not committed to doing that in our relationship anymore. I want us to experience love, connection. And I realized that when I put complaints in there, that does not feed that. Okay? Simple conversation. I'm challenging you guys. We're going to have this again next Thursday. I'm challenging you to go out, have a conversation that makes a profound difference in your life or the life of another, and come share it live. And we will start the next session by giving you guys an opportunity to share what you've shifted in yours or somebody else's life. Okay? So if you take on that challenge, like just spend 5 minutes, do that work, and then go take that action this week. This is how you move the needle. You don't just fucking come onto these things and think about shit. You put stuff into action. That's the only way you're going to get results. Okay? Implement, implement, implement. So that's my final say.
Awesome. All right, guys. We really, really, really look forward to welcoming those of you who are coming to the live event, those of you who decided to do the group coaching with us. Awesome. And thank you for spending the time with us. We know you could have been in a lot of different places. It's very meaningful. Thank you, guys. Love you. We'll see you next week. Take care.
See you next week, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.